England, 1381. A land scarred by plague, war, and crushing taxes. The Black Death had killed nearly half the population, but for those who survived, life was no reward. The rich demanded more. The poor were chained tighter than ever. And then came the tax that broke the silence. A poll tax, demanded from every man, woman, and even children barely old enough to walk. It was the third in just 4 years, and the poorest villages had nothing left to give. But instead of paying, they began to gather. First in Kent, then in Essex, until their anger became an army. At their head rode a man named Wat Tyler, a craftsman, not a noble, but with a voice that carried the fury of thousands. Beside him walked John Ball, a radical priest who preached words the church feared. When Adam delved and Eve span, who was then the gentleman? If God made all men equal, then why did some rule while others starved? By June, tens of thousands marched toward London, carrying banners of St. George and the hope of freedom. They poured into the city like a tide, burning tax records, opening prisons, and hunting those who had enslaved them with laws and greed. The boy king, Richard II, only 14 years old, faced them at Mile End. There, before the roaring crowd, he promised change, freedom for the peasants, an end to serfdom, and mercy for all. The people cheered. For a moment England breathed, but the peace lasted 1 day. The next morning at Smithfield, Wat Tyler met the king again, this time surrounded by armed men. As he spoke, he was struck down without warning, cut through by a royal blade. His blood hit the ground, and with it, the dream of freedom. The army of peasants scattered. Their leaders were hunted and executed. The promises vanished like smoke. And yet, something had changed. The revolt had failed, but the idea had survived. The people of England had stood together, had faced their king, and for the first time in history had demanded justice not as servants, but as citizens. The Peasants' Revolt was not just a rebellion, it was a beginning. The first heartbeat of equality in a kingdom built on chains. If this story of courage and sacrifice moved you, remember to like this video and subscribe for more tales of how ordinary people change the world with nothing but hope and the will to stand tall.